Hello, my name is Eugene Wilson. I want to talk to you about depression and single fathers with custody. A new topic, but in the same an old topic that has tended to kind of raise the eyes of some people. 24% of single households today are headed by fathers. That's over 2 million people. From that, you have 15 years of age or older raising kids and fathering children, with mothers being more educated and fathers living over the poverty line still. Thinking about that 24%, single father households lead at about 56% white, 15% black, 24 Hispanic, and that's not even including the other races. What is depression? Hey, a condition or common mental disorder affecting more than 264 million people worldwide. Depression in men, a long time ago it was considered a woman's disease. Now you currently have over 6 million men in the United States getting depressed or having depression diagnoses every year. Some of the symptoms include the loss of interest in usually pleasurable activities, changing of appetite, sleep disturbances, but men become withdrawn or on edge, aggressive, and hostile, even suicidal. Just imagine that. Living in a household with kids, suicidal, aggressive, and on edge. Hey, men tend to not express emotions. That's a big factor. That factor is simple. Why do they not express emotions? Women expressed emotions a long time ago. That's that cultural contribution and that relativity. We were taught that men were the breadwinners and we supported families. We are supposed to be strong and be successful, and women took care of the household. The causes of the depression? Yeah. Hey, think about it. Men have been overlooked for a very long time, and society has failed to recognize. Not just society, but the government, families, all kind of different entities have deprived men of that potential of raising a child. So we look at lack of government supports and low paying jobs, fathers changing roles, education and wage limitations, fathers going unrecognized in the public eye, and most of all, family support and family dependence. When we talk about lack of government support and low paying jobs, we talk about food stamps, Medicaid, counseling, you know, the things that fathers need to understand how to raise a child. We also talk about how the system didn't recognize them with these entities or these tools to help overcome poverty, homelessness. We think about this and we also think that, hey, well, why do women get it? Well, men were excluded for a very long time. Still today, men are excluded. It was seen as women were the ones who needed those support systems and men were supposed to be more self-sufficient than women. Thinking about fathers changing roles. Imagine, relatively, fathers went to work, paid the bills, mom took care of the household. It's not the same anymore. Fathers have to come home when they have custody of children. They can't just go to work and forget about home and work 15 hours. They have to sacrifice time. They have to sacrifice their efforts of being the breadwinner and provide care, nurturing. They have to learn how to feed, cook, clean, and repeat work, cook, feed, clean. That didn't include driving the kids to school, doctor's appointments, and a little bit of self care. When you think about it, have you? Did you really think about it? I never did. But when I encountered it, I realized how understudied it was when I started conducting research. And this is a poorly and very, very poorly understood topic. Thinking of fathers changing roles also, I want you to look at this picture. Cultural contributions taught us that mom combed baby's hair, daughter brushed son's hair, made him brush their teeth in the morning while dad was already off to work. Mom fed him breakfast. Even in any field, dad was usually the first one out and the last one home. That's how tradition taught us. Cultures have taught us that. Society has taught us that. But now fathers have to step out and cook, clean again, take care of daughter's hair, drop her to school. Now we think about the educational wage. Here, we have to think about factors such as, excuse me, the low paying jobs. Men grew up working in dad's yard and they started working in a little bit of construction or some of those hard jobs that they have. And guess what? Yes, in this case, it's a cultural thing, but it's also a race thing. African American man made limited money. Wow. Here it says 27,000 to 35,000 matched to Caucasian men, but 24% of black men were measured up to 10% of whites, which means another 14%. They it took a lot to catch up to how much a white person was making as a black person. But that's not the major factor. It's society's views and society's lack of creating systems to prevent situations like this. So therefore, black men couldn't obtain public assistance. Black men were not recognized, so therefore they still couldn't obtain public assistance. But salaries were so low that fathers suffered even more. Thinking about fathers going unrecognized in the public eye, I know many of you have heard it. Many. He's a deadbeat, baby daddy. Those harsh, scrutinizing, stereotyping terms. That is a social problem. When a father is trying, he's standing up and doing what most people wouldn't do. Some mothers don't do. But the father stands up to the public scrutiny, the stereotyping, the confusion, and it only creates more stress, more depression. Added element, racial and cultural contributions, such as the belief that, or even society's research saying that colored faced higher health risk, imprisonment, crime and discrimination, homelessness, making it harder for them to deal with the challenges of not only living an everyday life, but now factors of depression. The one thing that's the harshest is the lack of family support and family dependence. When times got rough times ago, we could depend on family. Now, when a man divorces his wife and the wife loses the kids, it has shown in a couple of different articles that are listed below or in the reference page that fathers tend to go through emotional stress and depression related illnesses due to the loss in that divorce, losing a wife. Not only losing a wife, but now he has no support system to teach him how to be the caregiver, how to be the emotional support, the connector to his kids. But then you don't have system in place to help fathers gain that proper education to understand it. Now we think about social work and social work gaps in service. Kind of a different tool when you think about how vital social work is these days. One of those things is, hey, social work needs to be more resistant to change as it has been for so long. Focus on the attention drawn to the mothers. Fathers didn't have that attention. Fathers still don't have that attention. It's growing increasingly, but not steadily. Next is a spotlight needs to shift to fathers versus being so focused on mothers who raise children single. Gender equality, another social issue, because it not only affects the father, it affects the children also. Next, focuses on steps for anti-poverty programs that are equal to men, as they have been neglected and are still limited to access to benefits that can reduce scarcities. Simply saying, fathers don't have to go through scarcities or suffer from scarcities, but we have to involve the system in change. And to impact change, you have to put systems in place. Some of the tools that have been put in place, you have the, excuse me, you have the fathers' rights programs, Responsible Fathers, which gives money, and that's under the Obama administration. You also have Responsible Fathers, which Responsible Fathers actually gives classes, educates fathers. You also have things such as the community programs and local communities, pathways. You have a grant, a fatherhood initiative grant. You have a lot of different things that have been put in place, but they're still not fully functioning. But it takes a system to work together to impact change. But we have to empower fathers, us as men and women, to advocate for households that suffer. Here's some of the references, and I do appreciate your time. You can look up these references, and they should provide way more research than I have time to provide. But I do thank you for your attention. Again, my name is Eugene Wilkes.